All right, so this is the key to this worksheet where you're giving, in this case, a function, table values, and you are asked to fill in the table, and then you want to sketch the graph of this function. All right, first of all, you need to recognize that this is a linear function. All right, so this is a linear function, and so the graph would be a line, would be linear. All right, so they want you to fill in the table. So when x is -1, you want to find f of x. You want to find that y value. So when x is -1, let me just kind of do it here. When x is -1, I get y equals -3 times -1 plus 5, right? So -3 times -1 is a +3, and 3 plus 5 equals 8. So that's 8. So when x is -1, I get a y value of 8. Then we do 0. Let's do 0. When x is 0, I get y equals -3 times 0 plus 5. So I see the x value. I substitute that 0. Well, -3 times 0 is 0, and 0 plus 5 is 5. So when x is 0, I get a y value of 5. When x is 2, do the same thing. When x is 2, I get y equal, so in place of x, I'm going to substitute 2. So I get -3 times 2 plus 5. So that's -6 plus 5, which is a -1, right? So I get -1 there. And then over here, you're given the y value, and you want to find the x value. So you're given the y value, you want to find x. So the way to do that is in place of f of x, you're going to substitute -7. So I get, let me go ahead and write that here. I get f of x equal -3x plus 5, right? So in this case, f of x is this -7. So I get -7 equals -3x plus 5. And we just got to solve for x. So subtract 5 from both sides. A -7 and a -5 is a -12 equals a -3x. This is 0. Divide both sides by -3, -3. I get x to be a +4. So when x is when y is -7, my y value is 4. And so they want you to, now remember that they want you to graph this. So now you can't see this very well. It's kind of blurry when I'm doing this by camera. But when x is -1, I get a y value of 8. So -1, 8 is about here. 0, 5 is here. 2, -1 is here. And then 4, -7 is here. And so basically all you do is draw your line. All right, draw your line, and you get something that looks like this. Don't forget to draw your arrows. You get something that looks like this. All right, so that's number 1. That's all you had to do. All right, number 2, you had to remember something about this notation here. And so if you look at part A, where we had f of -2 equals 7, remember this represents x right here, right? And so that means that when x is -2, y equals this right here. So f of -2 equals 7 means that when x is -2, my y value is 7. And then they want you to write that as a point. Well, remember, a point's an ordered pair, so you're going to say -2, comma 7. So this is your x value, this is your y value. Same thing here. F of 1 equals -6 means that when x is 1, y is -6. F of 3 equals 5 means that when x is 3, y is 5. F of 0 equals -3 means that when x is 0, y is -3. And then all they want you to do is plot the points. All right, so you get -2, 7, which is right here. Let me see if I can find it right here. 1, -6 is right here. And 3, 5 is right here. And then 0, -3 is right here. And that's all they want you to do. Just plot those points. All right. Now, the difference between this and this is that you knew that this was a linear function. So when you plotted those points, you had to sketch, and it said sketch a graph, so you had to draw a line. Here, you don't know what the graph looks like. You just want to plot those points. All right. Okay. So that's number 2. Now let's look at number 3. So number 3, we have this. So number 3, they want you to, and you can't see this very well. So the little dots here are very light. As we go through this, you're going to have to take my word. You can see it kind of right here where those little grids are. but take my word as we go through it. So here you want to find f of negative 1 means this. So remember f of negative 1 equal blank means what is y when x equal negative 1. Okay? So when x is negative 1, let's find out what y is. So here is where x is negative 1. Okay? And so when x is negative 1, you're gonna use your ruler sometimes to help you. So when x is negative 1, I get this point right here on the graph. And so notice that this point here on the graph, when I label that point, is negative 1, 0. So the question is, when x is negative 1, what's the y value? Well, the y value is 0. Over here, this says, what is my y value when x is 1? So let's find 1. So here's 1 right here, right? Use a ruler. So wherever the ruler crosses the y-axis, wherever the ruler crosses the graph, you're going to put a dot. You're going to plot that point, and you're going to label it. So that is 1, comma, negative 1. And so now we can answer the question. When x is 1, what's the y value? My y value is negative 1. When x is 3, same thing. When x is 3, what's the y value? So here is x equal 3. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3 right here. So that's x equal 3. So I'm going to put the dot here. So when x is 3, my y value is 2. That's a 2 right here. And so when x is 3, my y value is 2. There it goes here. Now over here, they're asking you, find x for which f of x is negative 4. So remember, f of x means y. So when y is negative 4, what's the x value? That's the question. So when y is negative 4, so this time you're going to go along that y-axis this time. So here is negative 4 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. So this is negative 4. So on the graph, and notice how my rule is horizontal this time because that's the y-axis, negative 4. Here's the point of the graph. So if I label that point, that happens to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, comma, negative 4. So 4, negative 4. So when x is negative 4, when y is negative 4, what is my x value? My x value is 4. And that's all you have to do. All right? Okay, number 4 is the same as this one, except this time you can see this a little bit better. You have a little difficulty with the numbers. They're kind of blurry, but on paper, you would see it better. So same thing, f of the 4 equal what? So when x is 4, what's my y value? So let's kind of do the same thing. When x is 4, here's a point on the graph right here. All right, so let me just say that point here represents 4, comma 4. That's 4, 4. So when x is 4, what's my y value? My y value is 4. F of 8, so f of 8 is here. So when x is 8, my y value is going to be whatever this is. So this is going to be 8, comma 6. So when x is 8, what's my y value? My y value is 6. F of negative 6, so let's find negative 6 on the x-axis. So here's negative 6 right here. I'm going to put a little dot where x is negative 6. So negative 6, and my y value is 5. Okay? So when x is negative 6, what's the y value? When x is negative 6, my y value is 5. All right, now same thing as with this one. All right, so this time you're told when find x for which f of x is 2. So remember, f of x means the same thing as y. So when y is 2, which is right here, right? 2. There's that point. When y is 2, what is that x value? Well, x is what? That point right here, the coordinates of that point is 0, 2, isn't it? So when x is 2, I keep saying x. When y is 2, my x value is just 0. Okay? All right, so that's number 4. All right, and let's look at number 5. All right, number 5. All right, you can see this one a little bit better. So f of 3, so same thing. So when x is 3, what's my y value? So look, you use a rule to help you. When x is 3, this could be my point right here. We're going to have to estimate that because it's not quite 2 in it. So let's say right here when x is 3, Let's call this 1.9 or 1.8, something like that. So it'll be, so it'll be 1.9, okay, about 1.9. When x is 4, let's see what we get. When x is 4, when x is 4, right here, here's the point. All right, so notice when x is 4, remember you get an open and a closed, right? So we talked about that. Remember, an open is not part of the graph, so don't use it. A closed is part of the graph, so this is the one you're going to use. So there'll be 4, comma, 4. So when x is 4, my y value is 4. So f of 4 is 4. F of negative 1, let's look at that one. So f of negative 1, so when x is negative 1, what's that y value right here? Well, when this point here, that point, the coordinates of that point are negative 1, 3, right? So when x is negative 1, what's my y value? My y value is 3. F of negative 2, we're going to have to estimate again. Negative 2, I'm sorry. F of negative 2 is right here and right here. You see that? Okay, so notice when x is negative 2, I get this point, and you also see this point. But this one's open, so remember that's not part of your graph. So which one must you use, this one or this one? You got to use the closed one, so that's the one you're going to use. So this point right here represents negative 2, comma 3. Okay, negative 2, comma 3. So when x is negative 2, what's my y value? My y value is 3. F of negative 3, so let's find x equal negative 3. Let's label that point right here. So that point is negative 3, comma negative 2. Negative 3, negative 2. So when x is negative 3, what's my y value? My y value is negative 2. F of 1. Okay, let's say f of 1. So when x is 1, what's my y value? So notice when x is 1, I get 2 open circles. Do you see any closed circle anywhere? Are there any closed circle? And there's none, right? So open circle, though, remember, means not part of the graph. So since there's no closed circle, since everything is open right here, remember what we're going to put here. We're going to put does not exist. Does not exist. Okay? So f of negative 1 is not defined, or you could say not defined. All right, but most of you are going to put does not exist. All right, so that's it. So that's the key to the assignment on functions. All right, so if you have any questions, make sure you look at the resources that goes with it.